Good evening and welcome to the 2013 Society of Broadcast Engineers National Awards Dinner. And I think you know who I am, but I'm Joe Snelson, the newly elected president of SBE, and I'm pleased to be your MC for this evening. And I'd like to once again thank VisLink Broadcast for sponsoring the reception that we just enjoyed. Let's again show them our procedure. Later in the program, we'll be recognizing outstanding achievements of members and chapters, and we'll also be hearing from our special guest speaker, Paul Brenner. First, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize our sponsor for this evening's awards dinner. Our thanks to SBE sustaining member Nautel for their support of the SBE and particularly tonight's program. Without their support, our program would not be possible. And with us tonight from Nautel are Gary Liebisch and Jeff Welton, who are joining me now at the platform.
Jeff has a 5 a.m. flight.
Okay, 5 a.m. flight, so he wasn't able to be with us. Again, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Nautel has been a big supporter of SBE throughout the years, supported my time on the board and certainly Chuck Kelly's continuing presence as the international chairman, and we're happy to be sponsored tonight and to support the organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Once again, let's show our appreciation. Okay, now comes the time. Please relax and enjoy your dinner and the music of Kevin Moore. And we'll be back in a little bit to continue our program. Enjoy. Thank you, thank you. It is again my pleasure to welcome you to this year's SBE National Awards Dinner. And we've enjoyed a wonderful dinner here at the Sheraton. And let's thank our sponsor one more time, Nautel, for their support. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to introduce some special guests who are with us tonight. Our national meeting is being hosted by the Indiana Broadcasters Association. And we're honored to have IBA President Dr. Joe Mizowitz and Executive Vice President Gwen Keening here tonight. And Joe and Gwen, please stand so that we may thank you.
She was here.
I was here a while ago. Well, okay. Anyhow, thank you. And also in attendance tonight is former SBE Certification Director at the National Office and now Vice President of the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and a very dear friend, Linda Bond. A national organization such as SBE is governed by a group of dedicated volunteers who serve as the board of directors. And I'd like to introduce these members who will be serving on the board with me this year. And please stand and remain standing until I've introduced you all. First, our officers, Vice President Jerry Massey of Greenville, South Carolina. Our Secretary, Jim Leifer of Boynton Beach, Florida. And our Treasurer, Andrea Cummis of Roseland, New Jersey. Our directors this year include Tim Anderson of Covington, Kentucky, who unfortunately is not able to be with us tonight. Ted Hand of Charlotte, North Carolina. Kirk Harnack of Nashville, Tennessee. And John Heimerl of Suffolk, Virginia. Also serving on the board are Mark Heller of Two Rivers, Wisconsin, Ched Kyler of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Gary Klein of Atlanta, Georgia, Scott Mason of Los Angeles, Wayne Pacina of College Station, Texas, Tom Ray of New Windsor, New York, and Dennis Wallace of Waldorf, Maryland. And completing the board is our immediate past president, Ralph Hogan of Tempe, Arizona. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our general counsel for 33 years, Chris Emily of Silver Spring, Maryland. number of our past national presidents have been with us today and are in attendance with us tonight. And gentlemen, please stand as I introduce you so we may show you our appreciation. I just introduced him as our immediate past president, Ralph Hogan, who served 2 terms as SBE president from 2011 to 2013. Serving as president from 2009 to 2011 for Syracuse, New York, Vinny Lopez, behind the camera. A member who served 3 in front of the camera. A member who served 3 different periods on the board, dating back to the 1980s, and was president from 2003 to 2005. Please welcome Ray Benedict of Columbia, Maryland. Proudly calls Cleveland, Ohio his hometown. Welcome Ed Miller, who served as president from 1997 to 1999. And finally serving as president from 1995 to 1997 from Janesville, Wisconsin. Please welcome Terry Bond. For almost 50 years, the SBE has worked to support the broadcast engineer, providing opportunities for education, certification, participation in local chapters, and more. Though we likely don't have anyone attending tonight who was at the first organizational meeting back in 1964, we would like to recognize any of you who have been members of the SBE for 30 years or more. If you've been a member since 1983 or before, please stand and be recognized. The status of fellow is the highest membership rank an SBE member can earn. Candidates for fellow are nominated by the membership and elected by the board. We will be recognizing 3 new fellow members later this evening. We also have a number of current SBE fellows with us tonight. Would all of our current fellow members in attendance please stand and be recognized? Having the national meeting in the headquarters city of SBE has afforded the opportunity to have the entire staff with us this evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce this dedicated group, which works on behalf of society membership on a daily basis. Please stand as I introduce you. Carol Waite, certification assistant and receptionist. Jones, database manager. Debbie Hennessy, executive assistant. And Kristen Owens. And Megan Clapp, certification director. And of course, executive director John Perret. Staff. I'd like to make a couple of comments. First of all, I want to start by saying that these staff members are hard workers, and they're the ones who keep SBE rolling along on a daily basis. And again, thank you all for the hard work that you all do. I'm looking forward to hearing from our keynote speaker, Paul Brenner, here in just a few minutes. And then afterwards, we're going to be recognizing the award winners of 2013. But before I give it over to our speaker, I would like to share a few thoughts with you as new president of SBE. Again, I stand here honored to be the next president. I want to take a minute to thank Ralph Hogan for his leadership, again, over the last couple of years as SBE president. Say it's been a pleasure to serve under him as his vice president. Something that you may not know, Ralph and I share something in common, and we're both fans, or should I say extreme fans, of Tabasco sauce. And now Ralph typically wears the tie, and I do have some ties, but I didn't wear them because that'd be his trademark, of Tabasco. I have at home a set of pictures of me standing in front of a bottling plant that were taken down in New Iberia at the Tabasco factory. So maybe someday I'll put that as a badge or something to wear. But anyhow, as I begin my term, I'm pleased to have a talented team of industry professionals that make up the SBE officers and board. I feel our leadership is made up of a well-balanced group of individuals from both radio and television. That's important as we consider the number of challenges that face the broadcast engineer on both the technology and the regulatory front. During the national meeting, I touched a while ago on the SBE strategic planning meeting that was held in June of 2012. And there are two goals that I would particularly like to underscore out of that meeting. And of course, the first one is SBE's 50th anniversary. This is not only a time of celebrating 50 years of service to our members as a society, but it also affords us an opportunity of visibility in attracting new members, as well as increasing our visibility to the broadcasting industry, something that I think we've done over the last several years especially. And we've kicked that off at this national meeting and unveiled the logo, which you saw at the national meeting tonight. And I want to thank the committee members that have worked on this effort for a job well done. The second pertains to what we're here tonight for, and that's our National Awards Program. And over the last year, SBE began a program where chapters select an individual from their local chapter and give recognition for that individual's contribution to either the local chapter or SBE on a national basis. And the local recognition was an outcome of one of the strategic planning goals, I'm proud to say, and I feel this is definitely a worthy one. SBE is made up of many talented broadcast engineers, and there are many that make notable contributions within their local chapter. This awards program gives every chapter an opportunity to nominate a member as an SBE Chapter Engineer of the Year and or SBE Chapter Member of the Year. And the chapter makes the decision on who this would be and then submits the name to the SBE National Office. And I'm pleased to announce that this past year, 12 chapters have recognized individuals that have made significant contributions to the local chapter and submitted the names of those individuals to the national office. This year, the individual chapter awards have been awarded to Donald Heppelman, Chapter 17, Minneapolis, Minnesota; Ralph Hogan, Chapter 9, Phoenix, Arizona; Paul Claxton, Chapter 131, Inland Empire, California; Al Stevens, Chapter 78, Blue Ridge, Virginia; Bill Magliocco, Chapter 5, Atlanta, Georgia; Bill Hayes, Chapter 109, Des Moines, Iowa; Charles Stutzman, Chapter 54, Tidewater, Virginia; Warren Reeves, Chapter 38, El Paso, Texas; Ed Miller, Chapter 70, Northeast Ohio; William Hubbard, Chapter 80, Fox Valley, Wisconsin; and Gary Stigall, Chapter 36, San Diego, California; and Conrad Troutman, Chapter 15, New York City. We are pleased to honor these individuals that have been recognized by their local chapter. Let's give them a round of applause. I want to conclude my remarks by saying that I'm looking forward to the next year as we move the Society of Broadcast Engineers forward, and congratulations again to the local chapter award recipients. Okay, we're pleased tonight to have as our keynote speaker, Paul Brenner. Paul is an innovative visionary and the originator of the HD Radio Data Distribution Consortium business model, by which he currently serves as president of the Broadcaster Traffic Consortium, the BTC, in partnership with more than 24 radio companies throughout the United States and Canada, formed to distribute data and advertising via FM and HD radio technology. BTC serves millions of consumer devices and automobiles with FM and HD radio data services. His most recent leadership role is related to getting FM analog and HD radio standard in smartphones and using terrestrial radio as the next generation of radio listener and advertiser engagement. Paul is also Senior Vice President, Chief Technology Officer for Emmis Communications, one of the founding members of the BTC. His Chicago-based development team continues to develop the broadcaster integrated tag station and FM radio synchronized application, Next Radio, for smartphones. Paul was the recipient of the 2012 NAB Radio Engineering Achievement Award for his work in developing the BTC and was listed in 2010 as one of Radio Inc. magazine's best engineers in radio. And also in 2010, Paul served on the FCC Council, revised the EAS CAP standards, and is currently an active member of both the NAB Radio Technology Committee as well as the NRSC. As Senior Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at Emmis, Paul's work focuses on technology business development, industry partnerships, broadcast engineering strategy, and the development of new broadcasting and internet content distribution systems. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Paul Brenner.
What an intro. Holy cow. Well, there's so much technology influence in this room. I think I need to open with, hi, I'm Paul Brenner and I am a geek. You guys are so influential in this industry, and I think when you stood up to people to thank them for all their years of service, I did some quick math on the plus 30s. There's easily 750 years of experience in this room, and I think that's a great number. I honestly have a lot of respect for the people in this room, the Society of Broadcast Engineers, what you guys have done in the past, what I know of you today, and I think looking forward, bringing up the youth into our industry and the work you do with that and the training and new sides of the business. So I do appreciate what you guys represent, and I thank John for inviting me to speak tonight. So I will say that much like when I gave my acceptance speech to the award at the NAB for 2012, I was intimidated by the fact that I'm a younger guy and haven't had near the experience you guys had. So I often feel a little bit, kind of set back about this kind of opportunity. So I do appreciate that invitation to come and talk about a little bit about these things that we're doing. I started, I think you heard the bio, and thank God I work for Jeff Smolian at Emmis, because he has instilled an entrepreneurial style in his team and myself that I can go and do the things that were talked about in the intro. But before that, I'm 45 for the mathematicians in the room. I've been doing broadcast and engineering technology in this world for 17 years. Prior to that, I had about 6 or 7 years in IT consulting, just pure IT consulting, before people had internet in their businesses and before there was internet mail. And some of the things I did crossed a lot of different platforms and technology. So I was able to learn a lot about the other parts of IT and bring that into this world. When I moved into television and radio with Emmis, I did do a lot of television work for about 7 years. We owned 16 stations and 25 total signals. Did a lot with central casting and models in the late 90s and early 2000s. So I understand some of that world, and definitely got burned along with Jeff on some of the DAB stuff we did with the over-the-air a la carte cable network, which some of you in this room, in fact, Joe, we were talking and said, oh, you were in that Chicago fly-in that one time where we talked about this in 2001. So I've had a lot of experience with Jeff, and we've had some failures along the way, and thank God we've ended up on a couple of winners with the work I've done with BTC and the work we've done with Next Radio. So like anything in life, you have a lot of failures before you actually have successes. So I've definitely been down the failure route, both in IT land before I ever joined the broadcast industry, and then as I've gone through the progression of different things I've learned, and we folded those things into what we've tried to do at Emmis and commercialized with a lot of success. So I would say after 17 years around the industry and the ups and downs, I don't think I've ever been more excited to be in this industry. I don't think that I've ever seen any more fervor for people outside of this industry looking at us for solutions. And I think if I could, just as I move into like the content of this presentation, I'd just like to bring to you some of the perspectives that I gain through my direct relationships with the automakers that I work with BTC around the world, and the perspectives I learned by working directly with the handset makers and the wireless carriers around the world to bring Next Radio to the marketplace, and bring that perspective in here and think about, to get this young punk up on stage that's going to be my keynote speaker tonight, what's he going to tell me, a guy that's been in the industry a long time? Probably not much at all about RF, but I can bring information to you and concepts that you might fold into the way you operate the SBE and the way you think about how you want to run this organization, what we're going to do as an industry over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years to stay viable, pass it on to the next generation, all the things I'm sure everyone in this room wants to do and thinks about as they move through their day, right? So if you look at what I hear from my work with an automaker or the provider for that automobile or the handset maker from any part of the marketplace here in the United States, there's a few things that they really look at as the value of what radio and television bring, right? What is the benefit? And in this world, I'm an IT guy, so I actually do love the internet, and I love the things that can be done with smartphones and these technologies that are evolving and growing around us. But I do believe also in my theoretical side that all bits get used in this world. And if all bits get used, then what do we bring to that opportunity? What is our piece of that could be the most compelling? And I've learned this over the last 6 years of traveling around the world, but first and foremost is our efficiency. And that one-to-many mass market capability that we offer is by far and away the easiest and cheapest way to send certain kinds of content from one place to an entire metropolitan area. And that is something that, in this world of like micro pockets of, small, cellular sites and things that have high capital investments, high operating expenses, capacity in streaks and spurts, depending on the market you're in, the place with the highest populations, this gigantic transmitter in the middle of a field or on a building has a lot of efficient capability that should be leveraged. So that's kind of one thing that we bring. Ease of use. What's the boot time on a radio? What's the boot time on a television? What's the cycle time of receiving data packets in that device once it's turned on? Much, much faster than something that is embedded or operating system based or of any kind of thing. So when you think about the benefits of in a car or on a device to just turn it on and start receiving information, that's a benefit that it doesn't get talked about a lot, but when you're working in that world of automakers and cell phone people, that's an important piece of the puzzle. Localism, like we all know, we love our communities, right? We all love being broadcasters. We love to sell things locally. We love to serve our communities with relationship-oriented content. And other kinds of companies, internet companies, don't have that presence. We're structured that way. That's the way the FCC rule works. That's the way we've operated for 60 years. It's really a strategic advantage for us that we need to hold on to, that we need to keep continuing and embracing. And these streaming providers and people that that want to grab that content and use it, possibly illegally if you're aerial, or if you're doing a streaming service and you feel like, since I have 200 million uniques now, I need it as a local sales force and I'm as good as radio. Those things are all wrong. It's an established business. You guys, like I said, 750 years of collective service. It's a made-up number that I just watch people stand up and count years, but that is an established business. That is a psychological connection to your community, and I think it's a big advantage that we all need to think about. Top thing that every automaker and handset maker I work with appreciates, and it's free. And I think that is a very, very big word with 4 letters. We send it for free. We are truly ad supported. We have no data plan required to get to us for for the content we serve. We don't drain battery life faster. Free means a lot of things. And I can tell you from my experience just with BTC, when we have shopped it I started in 2006, as we moved around the world and talked about how do you compete, what do you do with digital radio spectrum to make it truly valuable over satellite distribution or mobile broadband, the connected car, which in 2006 we were talking about for 2010-11, and that was free. And that's because there's no subscription required. It's not a business built on capital that's built on a requirement to sustain a subscribed user. It truly is free. You just need to figure out what kind of content you can distribute and what kind of relationship you want to have with that receiver device maker to make the economics work for them. But just having it free is a huge advantage over those. And I think the guys that are probably involved in Pearl and the dial efforts know the same story on the side of business for the mobile. But it's a huge advantage, and it really is one of the primary reasons I have been able to win car dashboards away from Sirius XM for the purposes of sending real-time traffic, live weather with Doppler images and National Weather Service alerts and fuel prices, because we don't say, oh, first you need a satellite subscription and it's another $3 a month to get that. It's free. Build a little price into the front end of the car, forever and always we'll broadcast it, or until the contract's up. But for some period of time, we will broadcast that data. So we were able to build that economic model because it is free. So I think as you're thinking about, where does my technology fit into the business world, you have to keep those things in mind as you're thinking about what you're doing and where you fit in this world. And what I mean by that is that distribution competitors are circling vultures. And this is spectrum auction, this is repacking, this is naysayers of HD radio, this is mobile broadband proponents with a national broadband plan, and let's see what Tom Wheeler does when he comes into office with his perceptions of how we should compete in this world and in the communication world. But all of us, radio or TV people, have to keep those key differentiators in mind as we're thinking about, do we just build transmitters in fields and make sure newsrooms flow and on-air playouts are online and studios sound good, mics are open, remotes are working, and my news truck is running on time? Those are operator things. Those aren't things that are going to keep you in business and keep you strategically important down the road. Distribution competitors are circling vultures. And I really think the guys, there's a lot of people in this room, and I know I've seen around go to DC, and I'm presenting to the TV Technology Committee and NAB Labs folks, and there's a lot of smart people working on this, and people know a lot better than me. But I think if the people that really know technology in this room, that know it better than any business maker or lobbyist or regulator in the world, you guys have to define what that is. You have to fight your fight and say, we know technology and we can present a business solution. And I really think that's important. That's what I've done with BTC, and that's what I've done with Next Radio. It's just said, what's the value proposition we have, and build product out of that. The reason I believe that is because I'm kind of on the cusp. I mean, they're called cuspers if you follow the multi-generation piece of it, but I kind of keep my foot in a millennial land and in a gen land. And I honestly believe that smartphones are underhyped. I believe that the ads you see today and the presence and the marketing of, everybody has a smartphone. I happen to have two with me tonight. One's next to radio phone, if you want to see it after the show. But I think they're underhyped. I think they're just growth today. I think they are identity. I think they're social class. I think they're a means to keep people connected and teach them ways to annoy each other more than we've ever annoyed each other. But at the same time, I think it's severely underhyped, and I think that the generations that come after us, and some of the younger folks in this room may see this, it will become the way they manage their lives and their commerce, and they'll connect everything to it. They'll connect their tennis racket to it to tell them their ball spin and their sweet spot and their racket angle. And they'll connect their glasses to it to tell them how fast they're running while they're jogging. Those are real products, by the way. You can Google them. Babylon makes the tennis racket, and a ski company makes the goggles. So those are real things that people buy, and I think that the transition of those devices and the transition of tying that device to the automobile, the connected car, are my rationale for smartphones are underhyped. So if you as a technologist and a radio or a television person don't understand where you fit in this world and how you can compete against that, it's going to leave you behind. What did I say? Distribution competitors are circling vultures. And if you don't play in that world, you're going to get left behind by that world. There's a lot of other technologies in there that all you guys follow, I'm sure. LTE Advanced, everybody knows what that is, right? LTE Advanced, cell broadcast, everybody knows what that is, right? So there are things that are coming that I think you have to keep in the back of your mind that need to find a market. I'm not so sure about some of those. I'm not sure who's going to pay for them, to be honest. But how many people know what's the percentage of cars sold in 2014, what year are we in, 2013? 2014 that will be considered connected vehicles. Anybody know what that number is by percentage? 60. Any other guesses? He's guessed 60? 100%. 100% of cars sold in 2014 will have some option for you to connect your cell phone to it. Bluetooth, aux cable, USB, iPod cable, Wi-Fi in the car, 3G modem in the car, 4G modem in the car. 100% of cars will have some option. So if you don't understand what you're really doing with your technology, and if you believe that the way to do that technology is just pick column localism and convert it to whatever new technology is being used for distribution, I would love to hear how you're going to convert $1 with a 25 to 40% margin into $1 with a 5% margin. I'd love to hear that story from whoever has it. I don't believe it. I think that our efficiency and our localism and our accessibility and ease of use are all reasons why we are important. So, and maybe I'm just a Pollyanna, I'm not sure. Two other things that I think that you want to keep in mind before I just give you a quick state of this FM smartphone that we're doing. Measurement. If you're involved in Nielsen or Arbitron, push like hell to include every possible place that you exist to be measured and consolidated. It's a constant battle. I'm dealing with Arbitron Nielsen because of smartphone work, and I know this common word of supplemental data is just thrown around too much. It all needs to be accurate and measured, whether it's DVR or streamed or progressive or live or whatever, or same content on over the air versus on a cable channel on stream or Uverse or whatever it is. Drive hard towards consolidated measurement. I think we lose out if we don't find that consolidated data. And number one thing, I've given a speech a lot of times at different broadcast associations, and maybe some of you have been to those. And I'll give quite a conversation about a sexy topic called metadata. You know, everybody loves to talk about metadata, right? It's hot. It's a good topic. Not really. But if you have audio or video content and you don't have information about that content, when it leaves and goes into this world of different platforms and different distribution, you've lost your consumer. You've lost your ability to measure it, to track it, for people to search for it, to interact with it, to tag it, hashtag it, Facebook it. I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but that's hundreds of millions of opportunities to keep your content associated with who you are and your identity. It all starts with, here's the picture on the screen, here's the name of it, here's the code value. I mean, follow that with a rigid approach. And I'm driving that with radio now. And Jake and the guys here at Emmis with me, we develop these kind of policies internally and try to share them with the industry. But metadata is very important, and it leads me into the success we're having with Sprint. And my mantra with the Next Radio smartphone, aside from using Sprint's big fat sledgehammer to tell handset makers that they have to turn on FM radio on smartphones, which is awesome, by the way, if you got enough money, and that lever aside, we have to provide a consistent consumer experience. There's two things that we get slammed about on Next Radio. While we're enjoying a very high take rate of users on the phone, we're preloaded, a very high, triple take rate of what Sprint usually sees on an app on a phone for radio listening. There are two reasons people stop listening. One is the antenna is the earbud. and you guys in Pearl understand this, it's a challenge you guys have a little bit different challenge because you're trying to do a lot of bandwidth and it takes a longer antenna. But at least the FM is just a standard earbud, but it's a huge pushback. Wait a minute, I don't need to listen to music with an earbud when I'm on, iHeartRadio or TuneIn Radio or RDO or Slacker. I don't need an antenna for that. Why do I need your stupid antenna? That's the number one complaint we get, and it doesn't fit in the phone, so that's a problem. We maybe figure that out someday. And second is the consumer experience. I'm listening to the radio. Why isn't there a picture of the song that's playing on my phone? There are 9,000 FM radio stations in America that are main signal stations. We have about 3,000 radio stations on Tag Station, which is the platform we mostly give away to the industry to get content in there. 3,000 radio stations of the 9,000. Only 450 of those 3,000 are carrying album or an artist and title and buy this song buttons and interactive experiences. It's an abysmal number, and it's our second highest complaint from the makers. So we're going to pay all this money. We've done 2 years of work. I'm 5 years into the project. 2 years that people know about. And the number one complaint is, you guys are in the phone. I love local radio, but why aren't all your stations showing me album art, telling me what song it's on, or a picture of the news that's playing? Where is it? And that's something. So whether it's TV or radio, it's got to be a consistent consumer experience. So I would work hard at that. And I'll just wrap up, just by saying that the belief that I carry as a guy that started as an engineering student and then moved into computer science and business degrees and found that my natural talent is not what you do. It's my natural talent is to bring people together and talk on both sides of the playing field. Business guys as much as the tech guys, that's really the only thing I'm good at. I would just implore you to walk away from here and as you work with the SBE, is to always think about, does your technology solve a business problem? Can your technology be a business? And that whatever choice within your world of, I know there's a lot of parts to both radio and TV, but as you make plans and you build things and you recruit for the future and you think about your work in DC with the repacking, is the technology you're developing a business? And I carry that mantra with Emmis, and Jake could tell you, I'm ad nauseum. Is the money you want to spend, is the effort you want to put forward solving a business problem? Is it something I could take to the guy with the checkbook or the regulator or the lobbyist and say, this solves a problem for you? And I think I just ask you, as you go out and do that work, that you think about those things and choose to do them or not. But I've found success with BTC and the FM smartphone based on that theory, and so I guess it works. So that's all I have, and I thank you again for letting me to come speak with you, and I hope you took something out of the conversation. Thanks.
Paul, come back up, sir. Sorry.
I get something?
Yes.
Doing those big checks?
Yeah, matter of fact, me too. We want to thank you for being with us tonight, your presentation, and we've been honored to have you with us today, and we'd like to present you with this little...
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Nice paperweight.
Take a picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very nice.
Indiana Broadcasters Association and Chapter 25 of Indianapolis. The IBA has presented a great program today. I hope you were able to take part in that. Chapter 25 members were involved in the planning of the technical sessions and also were instrumental in making this afternoon's membership meeting live stream to our members possible. I'd like, let's see here, I'd like to ask Gwen Peening, and Executive Vice President of the IBA Workshop Chair, and SBE member Tom Weber of Wish TV here in Indianapolis, and Chairman of Chapter 25, Jake Robinson, Chief Engineer of Emmis Stations in Indianapolis, to join me at the podium. We're very appreciative of the support that Gwen, Joe, and the IDA board have provided to the SBE to make this meeting possible. We also wish to express our thanks to Tom, whose volunteer contributions with the IBA and the SBE this year and over the many years have been tremendous. And finally to Jake, who as chairman of the local SBE chapter has contributed time and other resources to make the national meeting a success. Please accept our thanks for your efforts and the Hoosier hospitality you have shown us all. The dedication of individual members and chapters working to make the field of broadcast engineering and the SBE stronger and more effective is admirable and worth our recognition. Tonight we'll recognize a number of SBE chapters and individual members for their outstanding achievements during the past year, and for some over the span of their broadcasting careers. SBE board member John Heimrel of Chapter 54, Hampton Roads, Virginia, has served as this year's awards committee chairman. John, please join me at the podium to assist me with the presentation of the awards recognizing our chapters. Serving with John on the awards committee this year were Andrea Cummis, Chapter 15, New York City, Joe Davis, Chapter 54, Hampton Roads, Dale Gaiman, Chapter 41, Akron, Pennsylvania, and Ted Hand, Chapter 45, Charlotte, North Carolina. Award winners were selected from nominations received by the committee.
These awards recognize the work and achievement of individuals and chapters which occurred between June 1st of 2012 and May 31st of 2013, give you an idea of the range that we're talking about here. And Class A represents those chapters whose membership is less than the national median in 2012 of 33 members, while Class B are chapters that have 33 or more. We needed to do a little division there. A number of our winners are not able to be with us tonight. Those awards will be accepted on their behalf by members of the National Board who serve as the liaisons, and of that member's chapter, of course, and by other members that are in attendance tonight designated by the recipient. After you've received the award, would you please remain up front? All right? So, we begin with greatest membership growth by percentage in Class A, and that's Chapter 96, Rockford, Illinois. Chapter Chairman, Ben Flitterer. Acceptance for Chapter 96 is Ray Benedict. Greatest membership growth by percentage in Class B, and that's 33 or more members in the chapter, is Chapter 68 in Birmingham, Alabama, and the chapter chairman is Tim Costley, and the acceptance of the Chapter 68 award is Kurt Harnack. Kurt? The highest member attendance at chapter meetings in Class A, Chapter 146, and this I understand is somewhat of a tradition, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Chapter Chairman Robert Dickinson, CBTE, and acceptance for Chapter 146 is Jim Leifer. We'll hold on to that one. Well, take nominations for someone to go deliver it in person. Highest member attendance at chapter meetings in Class B. Chapter 131, Inland Empire, California. Chapter chairman is James Alexander, CBPE and CBNT, and accepting for chapter 131 is Scott Mason. Most certified chapter in Class A is, once again, Chapter 96 of Rockford, Illinois. Chapter chairman, Ben Flederer, and the chapter certification chairman is Chuck Engel, CBBE and AMD. Accepting for Chapter 96, once again, or not, is Ray Benedict, already here. The most certified chapter in Class B is Chapter 131, Inland Empire, California. This is getting pretty easy. We have a pattern. Chapter chairman is James Alexander, CPBE and CBNT, and accepting for Chapter 131 is Dick Burden of nearby Chapter 47 in Los Angeles. Thank you, Dick. The best article, paper, or program, and this is one that I think you all will, this is a little dear to all of our hearts here. Christopher Scherer, CPBE, CBNT, Chapter 59, Kansas City, Missouri, and this is for a tribute to SBE founder John Battison. And Chris presented this at the 2012 SBE National Meeting in Denver. And it was really beautifully done and well received. Chris and Terry is going to accept on Chris's behalf. And this is Mr. Terry Vaughn, CPBE, AMD, and CBNE.
Say a few words? Just a couple.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
Obviously, I'm not Chris Scheer, but I do know him. And since he's an editor, I've got to read this exactly the way he wrote it, or I'm gonna be in trouble. It's only 3 lines, so it's not bad. And Chris says, with great sincerity, I might add, I'm very sorry that I could not be here to accept this award in person. John was an inspiration to us all in many ways, and I was glad to be able to share some of John's life accomplishments at last year's national meeting and in the subsequent video. Thank you for this honor in remembering our friend and the founder of SBE.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. And Chris, of course, wherever you may be. Best Chapter Newsletter. This year, we're pleased to announce it goes to Chapter 70 of Northeast Ohio. And chapter chairman is Blake Thompson, CBNT. Newsletter editor is Bob Long. And accepting is a member of Chapter 70, Ed Miller, CPBE. Thank you, Ed. For the best regional convention or conference, this year it's the 2012 Ohio Association of Broadcasters and SBE Engineering Conference, which was presented by Chapter 33 Southwestern Ohio Chairman George Hofstedler, CPBE, Chapter 52 Central Ohio Chairman John Owen, Chapter 70 Northeast Ohio Chairman Blake Thompson, and Chapter 122, Youngstown, Ohio, Chairman William King, CBT. And, accepting for the Ohio chapters are Ling Ling Sun, Chapter 52, and Ed Miller of Chapter 70. Please come up. On behalf of the Society, we congratulate all of you for your individual and your chapter.
The next segment of tonight's awards presentation highlights some very special achievements. The SBE Technology Award recognizes a company or individual that has created or used technology to advance the art and science of broadcast engineering. Tonight we present the SBE Technology Award to Vislink Broadcast for its product NewStream, the broadcast industry's first CNG, ENG, SNG multi-mode mobile transmit system. NewStream provides multiple ways to transmit 2 simultaneous live videos anytime, anywhere, all in one compact rack-mounted unit. Accepting the award for Vislink Broadcast is Eric McCulley. Eric, please join me at the podium. Let me go on to say that advances in technology wouldn't take place without the efforts of companies like Vislink, and anyhow, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much. This is quite an honor, and we very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. The James C. Wooleman SBE Educator of the Year Award recognizes one individual each year who has shared knowledge and expertise with others through the classroom, as an author of articles or books, or as a seminar upon FCC regulatory and regulation matters delivered both via live seminars and live and recorded online webinars. He is a member of the SBE Technical Presenters Group, subject matter experts who are available to speak across the country on behalf of SBE. He is presented at the annual conference of the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters 2 times, and is also at the Great Lakes Broadcasting Conference in Michigan. The SBE webinars he conducted have included topics such as FCC self-inspection checklist, an analysis of broadcast violations, and chief operator responsibilities. One nominator wrote, SBE members like Dennis are critical to the success of the society by contributing their expertise, their knowledge, and their time to benefit the society's professional development mission. Another wrote, he is a very well-respected engineer throughout the state of Wisconsin. Through his work with the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association's alternate inspection program, many stations have been helped in staying compliant and operating the best that they can. His previous work as chair of the local SBE Chapter 24 in Madison has shown him to be a leader in our field and helped organize some great programs for the chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present the 2013 James C. Wooleman SBE Educator of the Year Award to Dennis Baldridge, CPBE, ADSB, AMD, DRB, CBNT of Hillsboro, Wisconsin. Dennis, please join me in the podium.
Thank you.
It was interesting because when I received the call that I was going to get this award, I didn't have a clue. I had no idea that this was even being considered an extreme honor to be connected with people like James C. Wooleman and all the other people in this room, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. Thank you.
The Broadcast Engineer of the Year recognizes an individual who has made significant contributions to broadcast engineering and has furthered the goals of the society. Robert Flanders was the longtime Director of Engineering at WRTV Television here in Indianapolis, and from 1971 to 1973, he served as the Society's 5th president. It was during his time that he took steps to make vast improvements to professionalize the operations of the SBE, moving the records to Indianapolis and hiring the Society's first staff help, his own secretary. to keep membership records. And in the mid-1960s, he was also instrumental in creating the forerunner of the SBE Leadership Development course, which continues today. This year's recipient was chosen among a dozen nominees for this award, who themselves had been named their chapter's Engineer of the Year. In just the past year and a half, our recipient completed a second term as chapter chairman, served on the program committee for the Ohio Association of Broadcasters SBE Fall Engineering Conference, and was the driving force behind Chapter 70's first ever Emmis workshop. He participated in a national SBE strategic planning meeting, and this year served on the National SBE Rebranding Task Force. He also continues to serve as the National Football League's game day coordinator for Cleveland Brown games. All this from a retired engineer. One recipient, our recipient has been in broadcasting since 1960, starting out at WDGO-FM in Cleveland. His fascination with technology went back even further when in 1957, the high school sophomore was one of only 5 individuals in the country to track the radio signal from the first man-made satellite, the Russian Sputnik 1. He is a 1965 graduate of John Carroll University, and by 1970 he had joined the engineering department at WEWS-TV in Cleveland. In 27 years with the station, he moved up the ranks, eventually to engineering manager. Through the years, our recipient has been involved in many design and building projects, from an IFB mix-minus system built in 1976 to the broadcast hardware outfitting the Indiana Pacers Kosciuszko Fieldhouse Arena here in Indianapolis more than 20 years later. In 1995, he served as a broadcast engineering consultant to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum's grand opening ceremonies. He has held the Certified Professional Broadcast Engineer certification from SBE since 1972 and has been frequency coordinator for Northeast Ohio for more than 30 years. He served as SBE National President from 1997 to 1999, and during his tenure presided over the establishment of the agreement between the SBE and the National Football League to provide game day coordination services and the creation of the youth membership program for the society, encouraging young people to enter the field. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present the 2013 Robert W. Flanders SBE Broadcast Engineer of the Year Award to Edward J. Miller, CPBE of Broadview Heights, Ohio.
I don't know about you folks, but I'm out of breath hearing all of that. I do need to thank, obviously, the members and the chairman, Blake Thompson of the Chapter 70 in Cleveland, for starting the ball rolling, if you will, to get the name nominated. And obviously the National Awards Committee, the board, and the staff that made this possible this evening. And I think back over the last 53 years that I've been in broadcasting, and there have been probably more meetings that I have attended. The ubiquitous monthly chapter meetings is but one. Numerous regional conventions and national conventions, and the ubiquitous manufacturers seminars that are put on. And I have to thank one person especially who has stuck it out, if you will, for only 48 of those 53 years, and that is my wife Dolores, who has a real appreciation for the number of meetings that I have attended, because when I start to misbehave or get underfoot or in some way irritate her, she doesn't get angry. She just simply says, don't you have a meeting to go to? Thank you very much.
Theirs can bestow is that of the membership rank of fellow. It is recognition of conspicuous service, dedication, and valuable contributions to the advancement of broadcast engineering over an extended period. Since 1970, 71 members of the Society have been recognized by their ascension to the fellow grade. We are pleased to add the 72nd, the 73rd, and the 74th members to that group. A number of SBE fellows are in attendance tonight, and as our tradition, I invite them to gather behind me on the stage so that they may help welcome our newest fellow inductee. In the broadcast and wireless communications engineering industry for over 50 years. He has contributed his expertise to both the private and public telecommunication sectors, from the management of corporate, military, and government infrastructure projects. Over the years, he has developed new antenna systems and lightning protection products and holds numerous issued and pending patents on these. He has served as an expert witness on matters relating to telecommunications infrastructure, regulation, and allocations, including before the FCC. His company, now known as LBA Group, was founded 50 years ago, and today boasts a diverse and notable clientele throughout the world. Another company of his, LBA Technology, has become a respected worldwide provider of RF equipment, including high-power, medium-wave antenna systems, industrial RF systems, and RF safety equipment. A third company provides OSHA RF safety training and other regulatory compliance training. Our recipient was there at the beginning of the SBE. He is a charter member holding member number 5. Due to a business commitment to a client, he is not able to be here tonight and sends his regrets. He has asked his associate at LBA Group, Michael Hayden, to travel here and accept the award on his behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to elevate Lawrence Baer, CPBE, to the level of fellow in the Society of Broadcast Engineers. Michael, please come forward to accept the award.
A few words. Lawrence sends his respects and apologies. The poor guy just landed in Honolulu a couple of hours ago. I know, it breaks my heart also. I've known Lawrence, and again, as Joe said, he's been since 1950 in business. I've known him for 35 of those years, and had the privilege to work for him twice for a total of almost 17 years. And we've had quite a ride. As stated, we've done projects worldwide, radio stations for several sheikhs in Saudi Arabia, done work for the Navy with Navtex facilities in Guam. It's been quite a ride. And we're very appreciative of this, and Lawrence wants to say thank you very, very much for this award tonight.
Every successful SBE chapter has a spark plug, that person who leads and keeps the group together and engaged. For over a decade, our next recipient has been instrumental in nurturing a community spirit among the Rocky Mountain broadcast community. He is an active member of SBE Chapter 48 and served as chairman for 5 years. He is currently the chairman of the Rocky Mountain section of the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, and at one point chaired both the SBE chapter and the SEMTE section. Our recipient approaches projects with major and minor with the same attention to good engineering practice. An extraordinarily giving person with absolutely no desire for recognition or reward. He is happy to work outside of the glow of the limelight. For the last 7 years, he has developed a program, monthly technical presentations, and executed the chapter signature program, the annual technical boot camp, which typically draws over 100 attendees from the Rocky Mountain region, and has been an excellent marketing opportunity for drawing new members to the society. He has organized an annual networking luncheon during July and an annual awards banquet in February. The awards banquet honors a member from the region for outstanding service to the chapter or the broadcast community. These activities were instrumental in fostering a spirit of cooperation and service from broadcasters despite the competitive nature of the business. Professionally, he is a technology consultant with clients in the television, radio, and associated communications industries. He has provided technology assessment, budgeting, system designs, RFP preparation, and test and commissioning services for numerous broadcast installations. He has been involved in the HDTV rebuild of Denver's Channel 8, a city government channel, and recently finished design and installation of a new scoreboard control room for Buff Vision at University of Colorado. Other projects he's completed as a design engineer or project manager include the initial construction of the DirecTV Los Angeles Broadcast Center, the Fox Digital Network Center in West Los Angeles, the Fox Bureau Channel in New York City, the first 100 DirecTV local reception facilities, the HDTV rebuild of public television WHUT in Washington, D.C., and 2 HDTV studios for the University of Michigan. His career includes 4 years as Chief Technology Officer for the Rocky Mountain Public Broadcasting Network, Senior Project Director for National Teleconsultants in Glendale, California, and Chief Engineer for KNBC TV, Burbank, California. He holds the Master of Science degree in Systems Engineering from the University of Pennsylvania Moore School of Electrical Engineering and the BS degree in Electronic Physics from LaSalle College in Philadelphia. He has made presentations to industry groups on digital television, transmission, terrestrial datacasting, structured cabling, the DTV transition, digital signage, and project management. He's provided frequency coordination for the Democratic National Convention in 2008 and the presidential debate held in Denver in 2012. Through his technical knowledge and spirit of service to the community, our recipient has provided exemplary leadership for not only members of the SBE, but anyone working in our profession. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to elevate James Shadler, CPBE, to the level of Fellow in the Society of Broadcast Engineers. Jim, please join me at the podium.
I'd just like to say how pleased and honored I am to join such a distinguished group as stand behind me here on the stage. I too would like to introduce and thank my wife Kay, who's sitting in the back of the room here and who traveled here to Indianapolis with me. Thank you. A few years ago I put her on the mailing list for our SBE activity, so she always knows what I'm up to. Again, thank you very much. Before landing at Alabama Public Television in 1970. In 1974, he moved to WKMX Radio in Dothan, Alabama as chief engineer. In 1978, he made the move to Montgomery, where for the next 29 years he served as chief engineer for what is now the Cumulus Broadcasting 7-station cluster there. Over the course of those 46 years at Alabama broadcast stations, our recipient became known for his engineering knowledge and willingness to share it with those new to the field and any others who needed a hand. Our nominator recounted that while he was a young engineer, our recipient had helped him with a technical problem. When he finished, he handed me his card and said, "If you ever need anything, no matter how small, give me a call." The young engineer went on to say, "He was the nicest, friendliest, ungrumpiest engineer I had ever met." Our recipient retired in 2007, but got the call to go to work for the Alabama Broadcasters Association, handling their alternative broadcast inspection program. Carrying forward his many years of involvement in the state's EAS system, he also became the ABA's point person for all EAS questions and developed and coordinated the implementation of new EAS equipment and EAS system for ABA member stations. In 2012, the Alabama Broadcasters Association started the very first state association-sponsored engineering school in the country. Our recipient was the force behind this effort and serves as its primary instructor, illustrating again his willingness to share his knowledge. One nominator wrote, "Most of the students stayed at the same level, and every night we held study sessions and he was there helping us learn the ins and outs of the broadcast basics." He served as chairman of SBE Chapter 118, Montgomery, for 12 years. He holds 3 SBE certifications, including Certified Professional Broadcast Engineer, and has served on the National SBE Certification Committee since 2001. He also served 2 stints on the National SBE Board for a total of 8 years. He was the engineer for the Auburn University Sports Network, and for many years, and he is still the SBE Frequency Coordinator for Chapter 118. He was named the SBE Engineer of the Year in 2005. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to present the membership designation of Fellow upon Larry Wilkins, CPBE, CBNT, AMD of Prattville, Alabama. Larry, please join me.
Thank you very much. This is really a great honor, especially standing in front of all these distinguished engineers back here behind the stage. So I remember when I got the call in April from the national office here in Indianapolis. It was rather a shock. I had just gotten out of the shower and fixing to go down to breakfast, and they said, "You've been elevated to the level of fellow." I said, "Really?" So I think, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast that day because I sat there for a while. I told John earlier this morning that when I return to LA, that's Lower Alabama, we're going to have to change this a little bit because we spell it in Alabama F-E-L-L-E-R, feller. They don't really know what that is. Like Ed, I've been in the broadcast business 53 years, 46, and then I've added some to it since then. And what that does is that gives Ed and I the opportunity to get senior coffee at Hardee's. But I've really enjoyed being in the broadcast business, and I tell you, the one thing that has really kept me going in this business and has elevated me to where I am today is being able to meet and become friends with, and also to learn, more importantly, to learn from all the other engineers that you run into. The SBE has been a big help in that because you run into all types of engineers and they've all got something you can learn from. Whether it's a contract guy at a mom and pop, or maybe a DOE at a big group station somewhere. They all carry a greenie and they all got ways that they can train you and everything. So it's been that's been a really encouraging to me. Sometimes we think of this as a profession, broadcast engineering as a career or as a profession, but really all of you in the room know it's not a career, it's a way of life. Because of what we do, it becomes a way of life. And being that it's a way of life, you really have to make sure that the home front, like some others have talked about up here, the people on the home front support you as well. My wife could not be here. Kathy could not be here this week. She's got some back problems and didn't feel like she could ride 4 hours on a packed airplane with a bad back. But I wanted to publicly thank her for all her support and encouragement over the years. So I thank the SBE and the engineers for this opportunity.
This brings to a close our National Awards Dinner and SBE National Meeting. We look ahead to 2014 with anticipation and excitement as we will celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Society. There will be a number of events and observances that will mark this important milestone. You will see this special 50th anniversary logo a lot over the next coming 12 months. We'll celebrate the past and look to the future of the SBE and its members. I congratulate all of tonight's award winners and ask that you assemble briefly to the left, or somewhere right up here, maybe to the right, I guess it would be, the podium after we close for photographs. I would also like to express our sincere thanks to Paul Brenner for his presentation tonight, to our awards dinner sponsor, Nautel, and to our host, the Indiana Broadcasters Association and SBE Chapter 25. Finally, my thanks to all of you for attending the national meeting. I hope you plan to be with us again next year when the 50th SBE national meeting will be held with the Chapter 22 Broadcast and Technology Expo in Verona, New York. What's that? Oh. I thought maybe I'd goof. Anyhow, thank you very much. Good night and safe travels to you all.
That's it.